Hello and welcome to Get to Know Them podcast. This is a podcast in which I'm gonna talk with some of the world's highest performers in order to learn more about them. I'm your host, Cameron Shuligoy. I hope you enjoy. Hi, who do we get to know today?
Hi, my name is Luka Kosovel, and I'm a 22-year-old professional triathlete from Slovenia. And yeah, that's me.
Hi, Luka. It's very nice to meet you. I'm very happy that you decided to become a professional triathlete at such a young age. Tell me
Thank you.
first, how and when did you start doing triathlons, and how did you then decide to become a professional?
Yeah. So before my age of 18 or 17, I wasn't active in any sort of way, really. I was just more like, how do you say it? I was a kid who always, like, he played by himself. He didn't have a big circle of friends. He always liked to be like alone playing with his stuff and never really much of a social guy. And then like when I was 18, I slowly realized, okay, like maybe I could start doing something healthy for myself, doing some sports, for example. And I just got some old shoes that I had in the closet, and I started doing like these short 5-10 minute runs around my vineyards, our vineyards back at home, because yeah, I live in a small village, and I was like, when you're that young, you have this self-consciousness. You're afraid what people are gonna say if they just see you running in the fields one day. And yeah, then that slowly progressed. I started running more and more and more, and I was doing like solid volume back then. When I was like 18, 19, I was doing like 60, 70 to even maybe 90 kilometers per week. And yeah, then I slowly started watching YouTube videos online, and one of the first videos I can remember was Lionel Sanders video. I'm sure all of you will know him, and it was a video of how his daily training and like routine was. And I saw that, and I just fell in love. Going to swim in the morning, then on a 4-hour bike, and then 1 hour run in the evening. I was just like, wow, like that's something. You have to try that. So I picked up my bike that I had from when I was a child. It was, a really bad bike, just enough. Like it was too small for me, but it was enough to go out and just ride for an hour, like maybe even 2 hours. So I started doing that, and also my grandma had a spinning bike in her living room, and then so I would some days I would go run for an hour, hour 30 in the morning, and then in the evening I would just be on the spinning bike for maybe 30 minutes to 1 hour. And yeah, I just love the feeling of finishing the workout, being sweaty, like knowing you accomplished something. So yeah, that's how I started with those two. And then like the the Lionel Sanders videos just kept coming, and one day I just said, okay, I'm gonna go to the pool and just do see what I can do. So I started. I had no watch, no data, no nothing, just the clock on the wall. So I just said, okay, the pool was 20 meters. I'm gonna do 500 meters for warm up, then some 200s, and then some hundreds, and I'm gonna go home. And I remember the first workouts I did. I think I swam around 150, 155 minutes per 100 meters. And so I was like, okay, it's not too bad. I can maybe I can do a race, but I never had really the courage to call a coach or join a club until I think it was 2021 when someone I knew from back to high school, like she was doing triathlon, so she gave me the number of a local coach here. And then one day I decided to call him, tell him like, okay, I'm gonna give all the money I have right now as this 19 or 18-year-old child for a road bike, and I want to join your club. And yeah, so that's how it started. But the main goal with triathlon was to do the 70.3 Ironman in Koper, the last edition here in Slovenia. And so yeah, that's how I started, and I also got it done. Then I think it was maybe 3-4 months after I joined the club.
That's very nice. And you started doing triathlon very young, but it seems that you progressed very quickly. What were your first results like? For example, what was your time in Koper?
Yeah, so that's when I started in, I think it was summer 2021. And the first race, like the coach told me, okay, you should do a race. And he looked at like my training I was doing. He wasn't my coach back then, but like the first month he wasn't my coach, and he was like looking on Strava and like yeah, Strava mostly what I was doing. And he saw like one day, I remember it was Sunday or Saturday, I did 1 hour run in the morning and 2 hour bike in the evening. And like later that day, he messaged me like, "Do you want to do a Olympic race here in Koper as well to see where you are at?" And I told him, "Yeah, yeah, of course. That's what I was thinking. I'm not doing any shorter stuff." So yeah, we signed up for that. I can't remember. I think he wasn't my coach until that race. Actually, I was just going to the club for the swims, and I was swimming, and I was biking and running by myself. So yeah, that was my first race actually, the Olympic distance in Koper. I placed. I think I went 2 hours and 5 or 2 hours and 10 minutes. I placed like 14th or 15th and third, or maybe it was second in my age group, so on the podium in my age group. So it was quite a nice result. It gave me even more motivation and confidence. And then, yeah, I think a week after that race, I just asked him like, "Do you think it's possible for me to do a half distance race in like 2 months?" And he said, "Yeah, of course. Like anyone can do it if you want to." So yeah, that's when we started our coaching relationship. Uh, then yeah, the race, I prepared for it, and I think you were there as well, if I remember correctly. I remember your name. Um, I think I swam 26 or 27 minutes. So no, 27. Yeah, I think it was like 27, closer to 30 minutes for my first one. And then the bike course was like really hilly. You went up a hill and then descended, and then it was some more like rolling hills. So it was quite tough bike course, especially on a road bike with aero bars. You have to have aero bars on a road bike for your first race as an age grouper. So yeah, then on the run, like I knew the running then was my strongest discipline, as I had been doing it for the longest. And I think I ran 1 minute and 24. Yeah, it was like 4 minutes per kilometer pace, and ended in a time of like 4:30 or 4:20 something. Yeah, 4:30 or 4:20, something like that. And also then I placed like it was the same as the Olympic distance, like around the 15th place overall, and second or third in my age group. Again, I can't remember, but yeah, it was something like that. Yeah.
That's very impressive. Both of those results and times as well are very impressive for somebody who basically just got started into the sport. And now I'm not
Yeah.
wondering that much why you became a professional, but I am wondering what made you decide to switch from being an age grouper to a professional. Did your coach influence that? Was it your decision? And was it a hard decision to make?
Well, let's just say no, that it wasn't a hard decision, but it was also it also was a hard decision. I'll get into that later. But how I decided that? Well, from the first race, or the first half Ironman race, I knew that I saw the potential. As you said, it's like it's quite impressive to do those times with basically almost zero base from the young age, zero training. So I knew like, okay, I actually have some talent here, and I want to put it to good use. I want to be something here. Because also like if I had placed bad in that race, just did like I don't know 5 hours 30 or 6 hours and just suffered for the whole time, I wouldn't be doing triathlon right now. Like it's like it's a tough sport. You don't just do it because you know you want to be there. So yeah, I knew I wanted to race professionally. And then the next year in May, I raced in Italy, also a challenge family race. Back then it was a Riccione. And then I saw, like, I borrowed my coach's TT bike. I saw the speed on that, and I was just addicted, you know. I swam probably one of my best swims ever then. It was uh just around 25 minutes. And then yeah, I don't know, I didn't have any wattage back then, so I just rode by heart rate or by feel. And then I had the best run of my career still on the middle distance, which is a bit worrying, but okay. And I ran like 116 or 117. So yeah, I placed also there second in my age group, I think. And yeah, that's when I knew, like, the coach said, "Wow, those times are almost, professional worthy." So I knew I was gonna. That was the goal, to race professionally one day. It was just a matter of when. But yeah, if I answer your question, was it a tough decision? Well, it wasn't a tough decision because it was a goal and I wanted to do it. And I didn't, if you want to be the best, you have to race the best. You can just be hiding in the age group world forever. But why it was a tough decision? Well, mostly because of the finances and all the traveling around and that, that's mostly the tough part of that decision.
Yes, I totally understand that. And that was my next question I was going to ask. Because we know that triathlon is not such a big sport and there is not a lot of money in it. And if you look even at the top professionals, unless you're, let's say, top 5 or top 10 in the world, you are not making that much money. So now I'm wondering how you're dealing with the finances now that you became a professional in your first year. Was it hard for you to, let's say, sign up for races, get equipment, get some new sponsors, and how did you deal with that?
So yeah, I knew this season, if I completed it the way I wanted, was gonna be very tough on the budget side. So yeah, I'm 22, so I'm still a student. Yeah, I study like computer science, programming, informational science. So I basically started working basically as a student, but mostly full time last year. Now this year I was also working, like, during the study, the school period. So it wasn't full 8 hours per week, but it was like when I had time, So mostly that's how the season was possible, the finances. But I also gained some small sponsors, like local companies who saw the potential and who gave a bit of their money for me to help. So yeah, but you know it's as you said, if you're not in the top 100 or top 50 in the rankings, you're not making any money really. So it's basically just trying to survive and searching for that one result that's gonna give you the sponsors you need and the help. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for the answer because I know it's tough. And I find it difficult to understand that triathlon, although we have so many of these events and although so many people sign up for it, maybe not in the professional but the age group field, that it's still not that attractive for sponsors. And I've been talking with a lot of young professionals, and they're basically all dealing with the same problems. So I really hope that you manage to find some supporters for the future because I know that's gonna
Yeah.
help you advance in your career.
Thank you. Yeah, because it's also the federation here. It's not really the federation is not looking for us middle distance athletes in any way really, unless you are the best, unless you podium on a, like, world class diamond race. They prefer to chase the Olympic dreams, but yeah, so it's looking, maybe now with the new president and new people at the federation, it will change in the future. There's also a few other guys now racing only middle distance who have big potential like me. So yeah, I'm hoping it will change in the future.
Yeah, let's hope that things turn for the better. And although you're still very young, you mentioned that you had a lot of success already. And I'm wondering, what has, in your opinion, been your biggest success so far in your life?
The biggest success in my life. Um, well, if you're looking at it from a results perspective, I would say it was like the third place on the nationals in October of last year. I basically led that race until the last 3 or 4 kilometers, and then just the tank was empty. But still, that's the race I decided I'm not gonna waste any more time. I'm going professional to improve. So yeah, I think as a result, that one is probably the most important one. But overall, as the biggest achievement, I would probably say is, getting the courage and getting to race in the pro field. I think that's a bigger achievement in itself.
Yeah, I agree with that because, like you said, it takes a lot of courage to decide to take this step because living as a professional, although when you tell that you're a professional to somebody, it might seem, wow, he's doing very well. But as we were talking previously, it's
Yeah, it's
much,
most of the time it's the complete opposite. Yeah.
yeah, it's completely opposite, at least in triathlon. And now, if we go to the opposite side a bit, because inevitably you face some difficulties in life and in sports, I'm wondering what keeps you going when the things get hard for you or when the training doesn't go your way.
What keeps me growing? Well, I don't know actually. I think I'm still so young. I don't actually realize most of the time like the risks that I'm taking. I just do what I think it's right for my career and not always for myself. So I don't see most of the risks that I'm taking until later when it's too late. But also like I don't know, I always had a big motivation. Like for not just not just for racing and for results, but for training. I think I'm someone who prefers training, pushing my body to the limits and seeing the improvements. I prefer that to racing actually. So yeah, that motivation to see an improvement in performance and what my body can actually achieve, it's what keeps me going.
Yeah, that's a fine answer. And I think that many top athletes have the same answer, and that is something that is very common for all of you high achievers. I'm wondering now, did you maybe have or still have somebody that you look up to or somebody you see as a triathlon hero that you try to copy?
Well, I don't necessarily try to copy him, but yeah, like Lionel Sanders is who got me into this sport, and he's always going to be my hero. Even if he makes 1,000 mistakes, changes his methods 1,000 times, like he's the first one I check like on him. He's my hero, we could say.
Yeah, and I think that many people see him as a hero because seeing him, he's so open and he's also very raw. Like he doesn't hold back. He just says everything that he thinks.
Yeah.
And seeing him push his body to the limits, like you said, and basically cry on the bike and do whatever crazy stuff he's doing is, yeah, it's weird for some people, but it's also very motivational if you're into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he's the motivational hero you want, but not necessarily not necessarily your coach.
Yeah, exactly. But if we switch a bit from triathlon to a bit more general questions, I'm wondering what's the one thing that you wanted to do for a long time but just haven't done it yet?
Hmm. Wow. Now that's an interesting one. Um, Probably just I have to think about this actually. What did I want to do for a long time? Probably hike up like a huge mountain in yeah, just hike up in a huge mountain, reach the top, and just have the view of your dreams basically. I mean, I could do that during my off season, but I kind of just rest then.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you when are you gonna do it because that seems something that you can quite easily do.
Yeah, probably. But the mountains here, I know all the mountains here and all the views, so yeah, I will have to probably travel to Italy or Austria or somewhere and do that then, yeah.
Okay, you're gonna have to pair it with some of the races you're gonna do in the future.
Yeah,
If you could only eat one meal for the rest of your life, which one would it be?
one meal. Mm, I would choose either I would choose pasta because I think you can make it a lot of different ways and it's good for training. It has the energy, it gives you the energy. So yeah, that would be my answer.
That's a very nice and a very common answer between
Common answer, yeah.
professional triathletes. Yeah. And what is your guilty pleasure?
Guilty pleasure. Um, well, definitely. Are we talking food or in what?
It can be whatever.
Hmm. Let's say on the food side, it would be Nutella. Definitely. If I start on that, then it's tough to end.
Okay. Which music gets you fired up the most?
Some rock classics, AC/DC and yeah, stuff like that.
Okay, I like that answer very much. That's also my favorite kind of music. What's one thing that annoys you or makes you angry?
Hmm. Loud, unpredictable noises when I'm trying to be calm and rest.
Oh, that's interesting. What
Yeah,
about loud?
I'm a really quiet guy, I like my peace.
If you could enforce one rule for the entire world, which one would it be?
I think like just be kind to everyone and try not to argue. And I think that would end a lot of things like, wars, for example, that's one thing, but also in general, a lot of bad feelings would go if we just kept that in mind.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Obviously, you're still very young, but you're definitely also looking into the future. What would you say is the one thing, your biggest goal that you want to achieve in triathlon?
My biggest goal, if you look at it long term, if you're talking specifics, I want to be like ranked in the top 50 at least in the PTO rankings. But in general, I just want to do this. I want to do this until my body is capable. I want to try to make a living out of this and just, yeah, have a life in triathlon and a name for myself.
Okay, that's a very nice goal. Yeah. And you were mentioning previously that you're also studying and also already working. I'm wondering, how do you balance all of these things? And do you plan to finish your studies to have some kind of a backup career if the triathlon career doesn't go very well?
Yeah, I finished my studies this year, so now I'm gonna take 1 year to just do the diploma next year. And I hope I can do that, yes, because it would be nice to have some papers on my hand for the future. And so yeah, that's the plan. But how do I balance it? Well, I'm lucky enough that 2 or 3 years ago there was a new pool built here in Gorica, so I can do like swims from 6:30 in the morning to like 8 or 9, and then go to work. And then if I have 2 sessions, I'll do one at 4 p.m. when I'm done. Or now when I'm a student, I'm still allowed to work a few hours less. My schedule is not fixed, so I can manage it quite easily. That just drops my wages down.
Okay, that's very nice. And it seems that you found a balance that works for you, at least looking at the results that you're achieving so far. And I hope it's gonna work in the future as well. Do you
Yeah, thank you.
maybe already have some plans for the rest of this season and maybe for the next season?
Well, it's 14th of September now. This season for me has ended because of some pure structuring from myself in the early months. I think yeah, well, basically I just peaked too soon. Then I didn't take any time off during the two racing periods, and it just at one point it got too much, and I just had to call it a day on the training, rather than seeing a DNF in my results or something even worse. So yeah, this season it's over, but just this week we've had a chat with my coach. We looked into the project for next year. We kind of discussed what's needed from the financial performance point of view, like when do we have to peak, and yeah, all of the schedule basically for next year. So yeah, I'm quite prepared for next year. Now it's just time to do the work, and get fit.
Okay, that's very nice to hear because it sounds like you have no problem putting in the work and getting fit. So I think that your competitors are gonna have to fear you in the races in the next year.
That's the plan. Yes, I want to make them shake.
Okay, that's very nice. And I think that this is a great point to slowly steer this conversation towards the end. And at the end, I let my guest leave a question for the next guest that is coming on the show. My previous guest was Joshua Monda. He's a professional triathlete from the US, and he wants to know, what are you thinking about when you're racing?
Okay. Now as a professional, there's a lot that goes on in your mind, like on the swim, you just think like, fuck, this is hard. And you just keep the legs in front of you, just don't drop back. And yeah, then you just get on the bike and you try to, if you don't have anyone there to tell you what's your position, how much time you're back, you're just thinking, okay, like go push hard. If you blow up, okay, just try to minimize the gap to the group in front, or just keep the group in front of you. So yeah, now that I'm a professional, I'm not thinking about songs during the race. It's just mostly like stress, like where you are, how are you feeling, and yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting. And it's, like you said, a complete opposite to when you're racing an age grouper. Would you say that this is the biggest difference between racing as an age grouper and as a professional? Or would you say that there are some other differences that people are just not aware of?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of differences, but mostly for the most part, it's this. Yeah, when you're an age grouper, you just go there to race yourself, as you said before. You race yourself, you stick to the numbers you have from your coach or from your feelings, and you just see what time you can do. But when you're a professional, like, I don't know, you better race without a power meter, because what matters, it's in front of your eyes, it's your position. And if you have to go over your limit sometimes, you're gonna have to do that if you want to be the best and at the top.
Yeah, that's very interesting to hear. Very interesting insight. So, what is your question for the next guest that is coming on the show?
Um, my question. Mm, I would like to know in which one of the three disciplines you suffer the most. Yeah.
Okay, that's a very interesting question. I think
Yeah.
that most people,
For me it's the swim, definitely.
yeah, because your results don't show it. You swim very well, especially for somebody who started swimming basically 3 years ago, as you said.
Yeah, that's the problem. I don't have the swimming background, so it's just a suffer fest from start to finish.
Okay, then I was gonna say that most people are gonna probably say swimming, so you're just one of us.
Yeah, one of us. That's a nice way to put it.
Okay, well, that's very nice, and it was also very nice to talk to you, Luka. At the end,
Yeah, you
I'm
too.
wondering, you're a very young guy, promising guy, looking to the top, striving to get better. And I'm wondering, if people want to follow you, follow your journey, support you, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can follow me on Strava. Uh, or I'm not sure how long I'm gonna be there, but yeah, I'm there. And mostly on Instagram for now. The handle for both is just Luka Kosovel, my name. But yeah, I would say mostly Instagram, and maybe, if I get the right people, have some progress on the results, I'll start a YouTube as well, just for fun.
Okay, I'm gonna remember that. So, and make sure you're gonna keep the promise. But I'm gonna put the links into the show notes to all of your profiles, so people are gonna have no trouble finding you and following you.
Yeah, thank you, and
And
thanks for the chat.
Yeah, like I said, it was really awesome to talk to you, and I wish you all the best in the future.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.